Houses are sold off plan a lot these days. It helps buffer the impact of the cost of building for developers. But a lot of buyers don't understand what off-plan sales are. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Off-plan sales of real estate property. Welcome to Real Estate with Bimpe. So what is an off-plan sale? An off-plan sale means that you are buying the house from the building plan. From the time the building plan has been properly structured, they begin to sell. Architectural drawings, everything has been set out, and then they begin to sell. From the architectural drawings and all, they develop graphics, they develop beautiful pictures. Those things are created by PropTech and some architectural apps. A lot of all those things you see that are being advertised on social media, they've not even finished soil tests by the time they begin to advertise. It's called off-plan sales. So it's not fraudulent. It's not fraudulent. It's just to buffer the cost. A lot of them cannot really afford the huge cost of building 30 units of something, 45 units of something upfront before they begin to sell. So that's what off-plan is. And it's usually a bit cheaper than the one that has been fully built because your risks are more. Of course, you are buying what you see on paper and not what you see on ground. Even if you get to the location to see some things, you're only going to see a few samples. It's not fully built yet. So there are trust issues, and they want to help you bridge your trust issues. They bring the price down a bit. So all the beautiful houses, all the cars parked, all the green vegetation and the blue sky, they are all creation of PropTech. They are all creation of apps and digital tools. They are not in existence. Is that to say you will not go on an inspection? Not at all. You would go on an inspection. Now, ideally, the documents that you are going to sign, the documents that are going to be detailed contracts for off-plan property should be a minimum of 3. First of all, contracts that will contain terms of payment and terms of building and delivery. The second contract will be the deed of assignment, or the document that transfers title from the person selling to you who has paid. And then the third document should be the contract of how what has been transferred to you will be managed. Management services agreement. There should be a minimum of 3. Sometimes they are collapsed into 2 because the transfer agreement is really different. Sometimes the agreements can be more than that, but ideally there should be a minimum of 3. But whether or not there are 3, whether it is 2, you still need to request for it and go through it. Now, one very risky part of off-plan property is if it does not have building approval. A property that has been built, you should ask for building approval. And if they don't have building approval, then you know there's a problem. But a property that is off-plan, they can tell you they are working on building approval. Can you see? And it is possible they are working on building approval because it doesn't come out in 1 week. So are they supposed to fold their hands in Nigeria and wait for the next 6 months for building approval to come out before they make progress? It's tying down capital, tying down so many things in a volatile economy, in a volatile industry. Real estate can be very volatile. So one of the documents you need to ask about is the approved building plan. They may not have it, but you should ask for it and take their response very seriously. Now, the fact that you ask for the approved building plan, let them know that you know what you are entitled to, you know what will make you secure, and they will take you a bit more seriously. What should you ask for? You have spoken with them, you saw the ad for a property. Sometimes the ad will tell you it's off plan, sometimes the ad won't. It's when you get into the conversation that you find out that, okay, it's off plan. At the point at which they tell you it's off plan, ask for a virtual tour. A virtual tour is one of the things that is made possible today through the evolution of PropTech. Collapses a lot of processes, makes life easy for everybody. Because they want to sell, somebody should be willing to walk you through the property via a virtual tour, either on Zoom, most likely on WhatsApp, or even a recorded video of what the property looks like as at so dates. So you do a virtual walkthrough. You ask your questions. You should do the virtual walkthrough with your consultant with your professionals, at least your lawyer. Ask a few questions. After you do the virtual walkthrough, if you like what you see, at every point you must ask yourself, are you satisfied with what you are seeing, what you are getting? Do you have trust issues? Are you comfortable? If you are not comfortable, you take a walk at any time, because it's your money. Yes, they are the ones providing the facility, but it's your money you are paying, so you should get value for it. You should be satisfied. You should be comfortable with what you are paying for. So when you have the virtual tour and you are satisfied that plus or minus it's okay, then you should ask for documents of title to verify. It's also very possible now for you to get soft copies of all the documents, either scanned or as much as snapped. They can as well just snap it. There are apps on the phone that would scan documents for you pretty well, or they will just even snap you the relevant pages. You go and conduct your search and find out the status. The search these days is usually 65% of the time. Search is neither here nor there. There are so many things lumped in between that you have to unravel. We did one search and find out that the property had a certificate of occupancy, and the certificate of occupancy was valid. However, there are certain portions of that land that was covered by the certificate of occupancy that government had taken back, and we didn't know.
No way!
So we will have to take a surveyor there to chart it and let us know the exact portions that are free and the portions that have been taken back. So when you take the document of title and you go and verify, and you are satisfied with what you see, at that point, I always advise that clients should request to see a draft of the contract, because a contract is what is binding you to somebody. But if they say you are paying 30% down payment and you've paid the 30% down payment before you get the contract, if the contract doesn't favor you, what are you going to do?
Gosh.
The contract is likely going to say, okay, if you are rescinding at any point, 5% retention fee and payment of rates and taxes and all of that, what's left of your 30% deposit? So why don't you ask for a sample of the contract before you pay? Do you want to take the risk of paying and then you are tied by conditions that are absolutely unfavorable, because sometimes they're unfavorable? The contract should be such that you can look at it, make a few reviews, not too many, that's the truth, because the developer has to protect himself. He has created the idea, you're only coming to buy into it. He has to protect himself. However, you should be able to look at it, understand, make input, be comfortable with it. But once you have paid, you cannot do that anymore. I always advocate, I will not allow a client pay the 30% deposit without being satisfied with the tour that I see, with the title documents. When you read the contract of sale, so many things will come out to you. I read one contract of sale and I found out that based on the terms of the contract, even though the property was going to be delivered at Shell, it is the artisans and engineers of the developer that will finish it for the purchaser. He can't use his own artisans and engineers. And I had a few questions about that. But once the client has paid, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't ask any questions. The ball has left my court. So I feel we should ask questions. Make a few, you may not be able to adjust to many things, but still have an input into what binds you. A lot of contracts will say, if you are a buyer and you are going to transfer to a third party, then 5% of whatever is going back to the development company.
No way!
You don't know this except you have seen the contract and you have read it. So you need to have at least 75 to 80% of the transaction sorted out in a clear picture in your mind before you start paying, because once you start paying, there's no going back. There's no going back. And a lot of the buck would rest with you, the buyer. These are my thoughts that I have considered risks that should be mitigated. I always talk about mitigating your risks in real estate transactions. These are some of the ways I feel you can mitigate your risks in buying off-plan property. You should understand it, and there's nothing wrong in buying it as long as your risk is sufficiently mitigated. This cannot be 100% mitigated in any circumstance, but as long as it is sufficiently mitigated to make you comfortable, then go ahead. Do you have any other thoughts? Perhaps you have some other ways of mitigating risks that I didn't mention in the video. Please drop them in the comment section. I'll be glad to also read it and share in your knowledge. Thank you for watching. Don't forget that real estate transactions remain the juiciest forms of investment in the world over, and especially in Nigeria. Bye bye. Thanks for watching.